And this is the last question on the Core 1 Chapter 1 homework. It's question 6, which is a question from the January 2006 paper. It starts off with expressing x squared minus 4x plus 9 in the form x minus p squared plus q, which you recognise as being the method of completing the square. If you've forgotten how to do that, you can look it up in your Chapter 1 notes booklet. It's example 3. The standard follow-up to that is to relate that to the graph of the same function and get the coordinates of the minimum point. The maximum or minimum point on a quadratic is the same thing as the vertex. They can ask it in both ways, so you need to remember the method for that. And that is example 7.2 in your Chapter 1 booklet on page 15. Will help you with part 2. In part B, we've got a line with this equation intersecting the curve with that equation. The key words you're finding in part 1 here is points of intersection. If you have two graphs and a point of intersection, then that triggers off in your mind the idea you have to solve simultaneous equations. Method for that is simultaneous equations. Take these two equations. Y is already the subject of one equation, so we can substitute that expression in for the y in the second equation, which will lead to a quadratic in x. This is a show that question. That means you don't have to look at this bit here till you started with your starting point. This is your end point here. These equations are your starting point. You do what I've described above, and you don't get to this equation here until the very end of your working. In a show that question, you need to get convincingly to the given end point. Your start point must be somewhere else in the question. In B1, that was worth 1 mark. B2 is 4 marks for finding the coordinates of the points of intersection of L and C. But part B was setting up an equation for the points of intersection. So even if you couldn't do part B, you know the points of intersection are the solutions, or come from the solutions to this quadratic equation. So even if you didn't get that 1 mark, you're going to get these 4 marks, because you're going to take that equation, you're going to factorise it, you're going to solve it, you're going to have 2 answers for x. And once you've got those 2 answers for x, because you need full coordinates, don't ever forget to find the values of the other variable. So that's y. How are you going to find y? You've got 2 values for x. You go back to one of the original equations, get the y values for those 2 x values, and your answers are going to be 2 sets of coordinates for the 2 points of intersection. I'm expecting 2 because it says points of intersection in the question. So hopefully that's all you need on question 6 on the homework. Good luck with that.